Yeah, exactly.
I mean, somebody got a little finances taken, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
I didn't have TV, girl.
And here we are. We're back at another Birds Breakdown. And this is week 4. Week 4. We are your hosts. I am the Philly sports guy. We have El Parchero Philly. I feel like I kill that every time. I got to get that rolling R a lot better than what I've got going on. And, of course, we're at the beautiful Tonic Seafood and Steak. It's a great spot here. You definitely got to come out and check us out here live. We actually got a little bit of a crowd here today, actually coming to pay attention to us. So it's we're moving in the right direction here. So it's been a lot of fun.
We got a big Flyers fan over here. You know, it's a good time when we got other Philly sports.
All the Philly sports are here together. But let's get right to it. Let's go with go through our sponsors. Obviously, Tonic Seafood and Steak, voted Best of Delaware 2 years running. And then Wi-Fly, which is gluten-free, awesome internet. Philly Sports Trip, the premier travel company for all your Philadelphia sporting events. And King Creative, every story has an audience. Let the Blue Lion tell yours. And ta-da! We have a win.
Wow, took long enough.
I tell you what.
Long enough.
And we've been talking about, you've heard me say that these first 4 games are preseason. And, even after, tying last week was a tough thing to do. It was a tough pill to swallow. But now, all of a sudden, a win, and we're in first place in the division.
As crazy as it is.
Yeah.
With only 1 win. That's all it took.
Yeah, one and a half. 1 win and a tie. Because we could have a 3-way tie for, first place. But nope. We tied.
The Kings of the NFC East.
That's it. And I tell you, we did happen to beat the NFC champions from last year. And I don't care that they got some people hurt. We had some people hurt. We saw exactly who we had out there trying to catch a ball. You know what I mean? It was no Deshaun Jackson, no Alshon Jeffrey, even though I don't really count him anymore. No Rager, no JJ Ortega-Whiteside.
What a huge loss that was.
I tell you, well, exactly. So, but that was all of that, and still, like Lane Johnson got hurt. Peters was hurt.
Yeah, it was weird.
There was a lot of different things going on, and ultimately it was. Yeah, we still were able to come out with the win, and it was a big win. It was a team win. It was definitely, that is what Doug talked about after the game, was how it was a team win. It took everybody on that team to actually do it, because Carson was okay. He wasn't outstandanding. He was definitely a lot better than he was in the first couple of weeks.
You're definitely seeing progression for sure.
So, and then of course, to have literally a rookie left side of the line. It was all rookie. Mailata, he just started. It's like that was his first start. I said that he was going to have a day, which means you weren't going to hear his name. You weren't going to hear his name, and you didn't really. So, and that was a great.
You did if it was something positive.
Exactly.
It was not.
Well, he did have the one. He did have the one false start.
Yes.
He did have the one false start. But even still, he was big. He was pushing people around all over the place. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I think he did give up 1 sack, but other than that, that's a great day, because you're stepping into the shoes of Jason Peters, who, even though he's 38 years old, still is known as maybe the best tackle of all time. Yeah. So, and when you're up there, when you are the best, everybody else is below you. So it just to be able to kind of prove, that he was able to be on that field was fantastic. And so what did you think? What were some of the things you took from the game?
So number one, I really I wanted to focus on one thing when I came here, and Doug Peterson. He's got a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks over the performances of the Eagles, but Philly Sports Guy, what I saw yesterday was a bunch of guys who came out of nowhere and stepped up. We're going to talk about a lot of these players, but you know how hard it is to put out players who come from either a practice squad, or they're just young players, or you just signed them off the street, and then you got them acclimated to the game plan for the week.
Right.
And they showed up, and although the Niners are hurt, and that still is a solid Niners team that we beat.
Right.
And we found a way to get the job done. And like you said, that was the ultimate team win. And we need to show a little bit more love to Doug Peterson because there's been a lot of winning going on since 2016. A lot more than some other eras.
Right.
And this was a great win. I was thoroughly happy yesterday.
I was excited about it. I still think, I'm definitely a little bit more critical of Doug Peterson in terms of I still think that there were a couple of funny calls that he made, play calls.
Okay.
Going for it for 2 in the first quarter wasn't a big deal to me. I actually was like, okay, because you have plenty of time to catch that back up again. So he wanted to show a little bit of faith in his team, and he did so. And that was interesting to kind of see.
It set the
and make
tone,
that
too.
happen. Exactly,
It did
it did. Because they went 3 and out, and then they went 3 and out. And so it went back and forth like that. Just go ahead and drive down the field. And then for Carson Wentz to take it upon himself to run 12 yards in, that was actually a good play for him, not throwing it away, not throwing it bad or anything like that. That was good, good way for him to do that. And they didn't even know what to do. Like, is he going to slide? Is he not going to slide? And actually, it was a great touchdown to watch that.
What did Coach P say on WIP this morning?
So he did well when he does a night game. He doesn't come on at 8:00 in the morning. So I got to hear Ray Didinger, who chose.
Did he?
Ray Didinger was
like that.
another guy who chose the 49ers. And I don't know if anybody was watching before the game, but everybody, the U.S. chose the 49ers. Everybody on that broadcast chose the 49ers to win that game. And I love that. When everybody's choosing one way, I was telling people, I'm like, listen, the line was 9 points at one point. And I was like, you have to bet. You bet $100 on the Eagles, and then you back it with another $50 on the money line. The money line was telling me something. They were telling me, because with a 9-point spread, that should be a plus 550, and it was only a plus 400. So the fact that was telling me that they didn't want to lose a lot of money on the Eagles. And,
they always play well when everyone does. But when they get all the love, like that's why I feel like they always start off slow because, going in the preseason and going into the regular season, everyone always has the Eagles like finishing first. And then they hear all the love and they let it get to their head. But once they're down and out and people are doubting them, that's when they show up. You really see that all the time.
Yep. And I tell you, so but I have on my fourth thing here, still some questionable play calling by Doug. And they were able to get rid of one of the guys who were causing some of the issues. Killins got cut today after doing that one bad run for a minus 12 yards. They said, "Okay, you're done. That was your chance," because that really was a poor play call all the way around. And they left him out to dry a little bit. So I kind of feel bad, but it was a weird play. I got angry about it. I got angry about it. I was like, why call that play? Of all the things to call, why call that play? You're doing pretty good running the ball. They actually had a really good mix of running to passing and such like that. So it was one of those things where I thought that he called a pretty good game, but he's still got a lot to do as well. There's a lot more to happen with Doug than really just,
Let me ask you something. I want to hear your thoughts on the Jalen Hurts package. I think we saw it around maybe 4 to 5 times yesterday.
I think it was four times.
So what are your thoughts on the whole package idea?
I tell you, the first thing that I got to say about that is that I love watching Carson Wentz block somebody.
That was
awesome.
What I mean?
That was kind of funny to watch. And
the quarterback's like, whoa.
Yeah, he got a little bit in the mix with it. It was kind of funny how that worked out. I think that it's okay. It's okay to kind of see. I don't expect that they're ever going to have him throw the ball, and I think that after that fumble, that they're going to really, probably limit that. They're going to use it a couple of times, but I don't expect it to be a big play in their arsenal. He did get a couple of yards. He did run one for 14 yards. Yeah. So, that's what I like to see. I'd like to see him almost like it would almost be better to see him in like a wishbone package. You know what I mean? Like an old school college package, so that you could pitch it to him if you want to, but you have Sanders on the other side, so you have like an option. It would definitely be like a read option type thing.
That's exactly what I wanted. I was thinking too, because if you notice that we were killing them on those read options, and the Giants did the same thing to them too the week prior. I was thinking, let's use that play with Jalen Hurts in there, and we got other things from that package. But I want to see. I mean, I think that's just going to take some time for, obviously Jalen's still a rookie.
Right.
Like, this isn't just like a veteran player getting in there and playing that package. Like, he needs to get acclimated to the league, and they're going to have to figure out a way that's going to have to actually work.
Right. And I'm surprised that they haven't tried to use him as a receiver at all.
That's another thing, too, I would like to say.
Yeah, I mean, especially since we got all these guys that are hurt, how do you not use him as a receiver? But obviously they don't trust his hands yet. And we got guys out there. I mean, there's definitely some names that we're going to be bringing up here shortly. That Hightower actually started to come on a little bit. I mean, Greg Ward came up clutch in a number of times, and then of course we got number 13. What's his name?
Travis
Fulham, not Aguilar. He can catch the ball, and he's number 13. So that was, it's funny because I was listening to Brandon Graham on the way in, and he calls him number 13 because he doesn't even know his name yet either. It's just kind of funny how that all works.
It came to me by complete surprise when I see this, the lineup for the game, and I see his name, and I'm like, who is Travis Fulham? And he showed up. He got two nice little catches. Obviously, the game when he touchdown essentially, and it's great. Again, like we said, people stepping up. He stepped up, came out of nowhere, suited up. Got 2 big catches, and we'll see, because if we still have these injuries, he might still have a role in this offense.
But you know what? Then let's go right into Inside the Numbers. That's brought to us by Wi-Fi, serving Wilmington. Only $55 a month for internet service. Wi-Fi, gluten-free, awesome internet. And I want to go. We'll come back to Carson Wentz, but I want to go right to Fulham. Who are the new guys? Who are these new guys? So. And I was funny because I was listening to WIP this morning. They had Ray Dittinger on, and as a joke on Sunday before the game, Ray Dittinger was asked tell me all you know about Fulham, and he brought out a book of like 10 pages full of information about Fulham, and that was that. So all the stuff. Obviously, he's a rookie. He has more catches this season than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
That's not crazy. That's crazy.
He played one game, first time, and he's got more catches and more touchdowns. That's amazing.
It goes to show a lot.
And there was a lot of stuff that was happening, especially during that game. That pass by Carson Wentz to him was really a thing of beauty. It was the way to actually. It was like, okay,
put it right in the perfect spot just for him to fall, and he almost dropped it for a second. I was like, oh my god!
Yeah, he did the little bobble. He
caught it, fell right in the end zone.
Yep, and that's
clutch play.
And that's how do you not, like, you take that ball home with you? Like, I would never get rid of that ball because that's your first NFL touchdown, and that's especially for a 47-yard play.
I hope he has a place here. I really do. This is Philly. We love our underdogs, and it's great to see these guys. They get practice squad players. They sign a guy off the street, and they're contributing for you. That's what you love to see.
Right.
See the Vincent Palleys of the world.
Exactly. I'm watching.
We got it. Oh my God, we got to be here with Monday night here tonight.
Yeah, so we're in a COVID state, and the Patriots are. Just took the ball away from the Chiefs.
Ryan Hoyer's still playing in the NFL. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's 6-0 on the Chiefs. I said I would give updates for the Chiefs game.
Absolutely.
Because, like I said, we didn't expect to compete against them. But, again, that's what happens when somebody catches COVID.
More football for us to watch.
Exactly. And it's interesting that it's only 6-0 because the Chiefs have been driving left and right, but they just can't seem to get into the end zone. So Carson Wentz's numbers.
Yeah, let's talk about quarterbacks. Let's go.
18 for 28 for 197 yards, a touchdown, a pick. That pick was tipped, so we'll give him a little bit of credit for that one. An 81.4 quarterback rating, and I think it was also 37 yards rushing with 1 touchdown there too. So he's starting to get back moving, mobile. They started to roll him out a little bit more, not keeping him in the pocket, and I feel like that he's a much better quarterback. He's something about his mechanics. Something about his mechanics when he's rolling out and he's on the move that gives him a better just a better look to throw the ball and such like that. He's able to plant his foot a little bit better. I don't know. I'm just not exactly sure because when he's in the pocket, his mechanics aren't there, and ultimately,
You know what? It's since he's gotten drafted, the one quarterback I always think about when I watch him play is Brett Favre. Now, a lot of the things both these guys do is unorthodox. You don't expect to see, and the rolling out, I think that's part of it. He's like the backyard type of kid. He thinks in his backyard playing with the kids in the neighborhood. And I think that's where it comes from. He's very creative. When he's outside the pocket, he's more comfortable. He likes throwing on the move, and that was the bread and butter yesterday. However, though, the running game, it's an issue because Miles Sanders did play great, but like we've talked about, there's a limitation to what Miles Sanders can do. We need that guy who can be able to run in between those tackles, something different. Because if you're able to do that, then that's going to alleviate pressure for Carson Wentz throwing in the pocket. That way we don't have to always, roll out. Because you saw the Niners at times were able to find a way to neutralize that rollout game. And that linebacker, Fred Warner, he was all over the field yesterday. All over the field.
Yes,
and
he was.
I wish we had a player like that. Like we keep talking about the linebacker, which we'll probably get to in a second, but geez, watching him play was fantastic. But that's just one thing I would say about the running game. To me is something we're missing. That Jordan Howard, we're missing that LeGarrette Blount, like I constantly keep saying. And I was thinking, like, if we had that ability yesterday, we would have been able to put this team out yesterday.
yes,
And I think going forward, that would help us out too.
I agree. I like the fact that they were more balanced between the run and the pass.
Yeah.
That they had.
They went. Yeah, they did.
They did 28 and 28. So I mean, it was something that so they were trying to do it. I like that when they started to go between the tackles, he kept going back to it. He did not say, okay, the running game is terrible, and that's the end of that. They didn't even gain 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So, and that was with the 37 yards that Carson Wentz ran for it. So even throwing that into the mix, you got 37 by Carson Wentz. I think you had another Jalen Hurts had just under 18 yards. So between the quarterbacks, they had 55 yards of the rushing, and we didn't get over 100 yards. We only had 93 yards rushing on 28 attempts. But I like the idea that he stayed with it and kept doing it. And actually, that started the play action a little bit better. So the fact that they kept running so much, it was part of the play action, and that's what got that off
He
the ground.
looked more comfortable yesterday because I felt like he was reacting more on his instincts yesterday opposed to like following the game plan, following the reads. When he's reacting on instinct, you can tell he plays a lot better.
Right.
And I hope, and that's what you're seeing. If the way Carson Wentz plays, he's a gutsy type of quarterback, and it sucks sometimes. You get scared when he puts that shoulder down. He tries to fight for those extra yards, but that's the type of quarterback he is because he does want to win and he will do what it takes. Right now, he doesn't have that chemistry with those receivers, so you're seeing him probably go for that little QB sneak and run for the ball a little bit. And you gotta love that. You have to love that from Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Gutsy like that.
Speaking of which, I loved what they did in that one. They had 9 guys in between the tackles for that quarterback sneak. They optioned out, and then they optioned right back into it again,
smart play.
and then got it, and then got those 3 yards. You're not stopping him. You're not going to stop him for 3 yards. But when they optioned out, they had everybody spread back out. They only wound up with another 4 guys back in there again, and they got that. And that was a great play. Great play all the way around. I liked it. Now, of course, that was where Mailata got his one. The first time they went for that, it was about to go, and I knew that they were going to sneak it, and he jumped offside.
I was going to say, what did you think of the line yesterday?
I thought it was okay. I think that it was so Lane Johnson got hurt really quickly. So the
Back
fact
and forth, it was.
And I'm assuming that's why they put more rollout plays in. I'm sure one thing had to do with the other. But they also had Jordan. I thought Jordan played really well.
Yeah. First start.
Same thing. And I tell you, when you look at, I actually put this here. Actually, I didn't put it there. So, but he played 100% of the snaps, for the offense. And so the whole left side of the line played 100% of the snaps, and that's a big deal when you are doing that and not having to change out when Jason Peters is a little winded or such like that. And that's what I thought he needed. That he was bathed in fire. That's what he finally got out there, and he's the biggest guy on the field. He's the biggest guy on the field. So there's going to be, and he's got the speed. I was watching that first step. The first step is the biggest thing. That's what they teach you. That's what you got to do. And I watched his first step, and it was a giant first step. He was able to jump back really and take a huge step backwards, which I got to imagine he's going to have to change moving forward because they're going to catch you. You know,
they'll push you back.
Milliseconds are going to make a difference. So when you actually, but he was able to do it and plant that foot and then push, and that was a really good thing to see. Like I said, I've been waiting for this moment. He's been here for 3 years now doing this, so
He's a great guy.
about
He's
that.
absolutely great guy. I have a theory. So since we can't find our power back, you know, Mailata was a pretty good rugby player when he was in his rugby days. What about giving him a couple, maybe as a fullback?
Yeah, so I think about that, and I think back in 1985 when the Bears won the Super Bowl, and the Fridge got more touchdowns than Sweetness. You know what I mean? I don't think that I don't know that that's going to work as well as you think it is.
We need some sort of. We need
plus,
someone.
So, and I got to imagine the reason why they're not doing that is because in rugby they're not trying to hit the ball out of your hands.
This is true.
So it's got to be ball control. That's going to be a big thing. So as much as I can appreciate that thought process, I don't know that it really holds true to what it is that they're trying to do. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I was wondering why they couldn't make him a tight end. So catch the ball. Like, that's what you can do. You're always pitching the ball and catching the ball. So, plus, this is the NFL. In rugby, they're not as fast because of the way that the lines are set. You don't have to be super quick. You can bowl people over and out of the way and be lumbering at like 4.8, 4.9 speed. This is the NFL. That doesn't work the same way.
My concern is that we ran the sneak like 2 or 3 times yesterday, right? And how many times are you going to run that? And teams are starting to figure out, like, if it's 3rd and short, 4th and short, we're going to go with that QB sneak. And you saw the Niners line up pretty close.
You keep doing it until they stop you. I learned that back in the Andy Reid days when he had it was the fake reverse Deuce Staley up the middle. He used to run that play constantly. Fake reverse Deuce Staley up the middle. Fake reverse Deuce Staley up the middle. And you knew it was coming, and you still couldn't stop it. And it's the same thing with this. Every time they do it, they get the first down. How do you not that? How do you stop that? You know what I mean? You don't. You got to just keep on going with it, especially every time until they stop it. Until you get stopped on a quarterback sneak on a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, then you start to think about it a little differently. But I don't think that these teams have the strength in between the tackles to be able to handle it like that. That's why our strength is the offensive line. It really is the offensive line.
We'll get that test this week.
We will. And we'll get to them in a few minutes because I'm going to be out there for this. But we got to talk about the new guys. Obviously, Fulham. And then, of course, nobody ever heard of Singletary. He's been out there a couple times. But I did a little bit of research on Singletary because Fulham's a rookie. He's got some speed. You're going to find out a lot more about him. Like I said, Ray Didinger did 10 pages worth of stuff on him. So I didn't want to try to take it away from that. But Singletary actually was like the Canadian. It was a CFL Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year in the Canadian Football League. And that is, it's like NFL Super Light. You know what I mean? It's not even like NFL Light up there. It's a little bit of a different game.
I guess.
Yeah, like maybe double A, not even triple A. So you take that with whatever it's worth. But
every now and then they produce someone.
He was dropped by 3 or 4 NFL teams. So he got drafted. He signed a contract, got cut, got put on the practice squad, got cut. Patriots had him, cut him. Vikings had him, cut him. I think he was drafted originally by Seattle. They cut him, and then he went up to the CFL, played over there in Calgary. Played over there in Calgary for a couple of years, became the CFL Defensive Player of the Year, and now he's back with the Eagles. And I tell you, he was probably the best linebacker out there on the field yesterday. You know what I mean?
A spark.
Exactly. So, and getting a pick 6.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the second interception of the day. They got 3 turnovers. The fact that they did some turnovers, that we won the turnover battle for a change.
First turnover in this game, then we had 3 more or 2 more.
2 more afterwards. So, I mean, it was funny because I called it. I'm like saying, this is the time for the pick
At some
six
point,
to
they
happen.
got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
At
Well,
some point.
and you know what? You could tell that quarterback was starting to get rattled.
Yeah.
He was getting hit a lot. That was one of the notes that I put down here. Not
Nick
only did
Mullins,
they have the
man.
turnovers, but they got 5 sacks. He was hit 15
I know.
times. He was getting hit all the time. So,
Well, it was funny because leading up, there was QB talks in San Francisco, whether or not there's a controversy going on. Well, that got put to rest yesterday.
Yep.
After Mullins getting benched in the fourth quarter, so that was that defense was looking good for sure.
it was. However, I do have a caveat about the defense. Fletcher Cox played 68% of the snaps and did not register anything. He didn't register on the script. I went looking for him. I'm like, where's Cox at?
I
Where's
think
he at?
he's still hurt.
It doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise
I think
me.
that's
but
what it is because I feel like if he was fully healthy, he'd probably get a little bit more from him. And last week, I thought I saw a little bit more from Fletcher Cox, but I just think that what's nagging him is some sort of injury that he's been dealing with all season long.
Well, they got to figure it out. However,
Defensive line still played pretty good.
I'll tell you what, Barnett showing up. He's showing up. I mean, he got another half a sack, but that sack really should have been his. It should have gotten the full sack, but he just wound up tripping over him because he was held in the process. I mean, the fact that they got 5 sacks in there, the fact that like Ridgeway, Avery are getting in there and getting pressure on these quarterbacks, that's going to be really important moving forward. Now, obviously, they got a much different test coming up here. So it's going to be a little bit of a different test against the Steelers, but it's going to be an interesting game to see.
I will say though that Schwartz I think did bounce back in this game. This defensive line now leads the NFL in sacks, and they were in the backfield all damn day.
Yes.
And they did the same thing against Cincinnati as well. Linebackers still, might be kryptonite. We'll see if Alex can continue playing like this, and we might have a linebacker possibly, but he did. That performance yesterday, you love seeing someone like that step out of nowhere and take advantage of the opportunity.
Correct.
Make big plays. I think there was a point in the fourth quarter where San Francisco kept running the ball and it was working for them, and he made a stop.
Yep.
And again, plays like that really helped us out. But
how about their backup quarterback coming in and running down the
CJ
field
Beathard.
twice? Went down the field.
Well, it's funny because in 2018, when Garoppolo went down, he was a QB and he was playing bad. And then I think with 4 games left, they put in Nick Mullins to finish out the year. But yeah, it was crazy. He came in and they scored. I'm like, wait, what's going on? What's going on? I jumped back up. I sat down for a second once we got the 25 points on the board. I was like, oh my God. All right, then they're driving down the field and get the touchdown. I was like, all right, we got to stand back up again because I was getting nervous again.
Well, I didn't mind them scoring the touchdown. What I said, and I even said this for people. I was on TikTok. I spent all my day on TikTok last night, and during the entire game. And I said, even out loud, I said, I don't care that they scored the touchdown. They can't make the 2-point conversion. We have to make sure to make the stop here. Scoring the touchdown is one thing. Getting the 2-point conversion is the other. The fact that they let them score, again, the referees helped them out tremendously. It seemed that they were stopping the ball every few minutes. It's like, oh, how was it? What are we calling now? Oh, the referee's down. Oh, hold on. Let's set the ball down, let them hike and get all lined up, and then we'll start the clock so that they can actually score a touchdown before the 2-minute warning and compete. It was just, it made me think a little bit like that it was like the Panthers game from a couple years ago in 2017.
Oh my God!
So where it was just
they came back on us.
We were competing against the referees as well, But of course, things work out.
What about Hargrave? What'd you think of him? He got in the backfield a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, I think he got credit for a sack, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did he get credit?
And he definitely he started the season.
He got half a sack. He got the other half a sack.
Another half.
So
he got hurt in the beginning of the year, and he had to get get his feet wet again. But he looked good yesterday.
Yes.
I hope you can hope that he still plays well. I love Malik Jackson's attitude. He's like an old school type of D line. He likes to smack you in the mouth. I love what I'm seeing.
I'm glad that Hargrave got his wheels back under him because I'm sure he's going to be interested to play this week coming up. I'm sure he's going to be excited to play against his old team. So, and let's go moving on here around the horn. And this is brought to us by Philly Sports Trips. And, of course, they partnered with the Philly Sports Guy. And we're going down to Dallas. We're going to take a trip down to Dallas for the Week 16 game. That is December 27th. It's right after Christmas. To go to phillysportstrips.com and click on the links to trips and mention that you have the Philly Sports Guy going with you, and we're going to have a great time. It's a great Christmas gift, and it might be the only time we get to go to a game live all season long. So definitely book your trips out, phillysportstrips.com. I had to put this one first. I would like to thank the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, going 3-1, 49. The Cowgirls, and Dallas sucks.
That defense is terrible. Philly Sports Guy.
49-38.
That's terrible.
49 points to the Cleveland Browns. 49 points. That's 7 touchdowns.
Are the Browns legit?
No, I don't think that they are. I think that they got something going right now, but I
Nick
don't.
Chubb got hurt too yesterday.
Yeah, so it's and now so what they only have. I mean, because what's his name was hurt too. The Kareem Hunt.
Oh my
so
God.
he was a little iffy going into the game because he's on my fantasy league fantasy team. So now I might have to go with him next week since Chubb got hurt. But anyways, Saints beat the Lions 35-29. Look at the Panthers coming up 31-21 against the Cardinals.
You were right about the Cardinals.
I tell you, sometimes you're sniffing yourself a little too much, but Matt Rule actually got his team under control down there and is actually doing a good thing. Like I said, getting his second win, 2 in a row. And this one against the Cards, who I thought was going to be somebody thought might have been a good team. Coming against the 49ers and winning that first game, winning the second game against the team from Washington, and then crap in the bed. So the Seahawks go 4-0 against the Miami Dolphins. I know that there was a whole bunch of Seahawks super fans down there, down in Miami. They took over Miami. They couldn't get into the stadium, but they still went out down there to party hard. The Tampa Bay Brady's 5 touchdowns. He threw 5 touchdowns yesterday to beat the Chargers by just a couple of points, 38-31. That defense is still, yep. This is the NFC. This isn't the AFC. You're going to learn about that real quickly. How about the Giants holding the Rams to only 17 points? Of course, they only scored 9, but it's 17-9 Rams over the Giants. And, of course, the Colts 19, Nick Foles 11. And he really didn't play that well at all during that game. So I don't want to hear any more about, we should have kept Nick. We should have kept Nick. No, we shouldn't have kept Nick. Nick is going to do whatever he's going to do out in Chicago. And when we get to play them in the playoffs, I expect another double doink. So, all right, looking ahead. And that's brought to us by King Creative. You want your story to roar? Go to the Blue Lion. King Creative. Every story has an audience. Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-0.
This is going to be tough. And they get a bye week.
Exactly. Ben Roethlisberger is back, and
fully healthy.
Now he's rested. And now they got
weapons.
They got the COVID bye. They got their COVID bye week a little early. So this is the 80th game, the 80th time the Eagles and the Steelers will play against each other. So I did a little bit of research. Our record against the Steelers is 48, 28, and 3.
Wow.
So we spanked the Steelers a lot more than they try to spank us. We have won 4 of our last 6 games, 7 of our last 10 games against the Steelers. So anybody who thinks that the Steelers are just going to walk right over us, for some reason, they still have small city syndrome and still are unhappy that Philadelphia.
Oh my God! You're bringing the heat today.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm going to be out there.
For Pittsburgh.
I am going to be out there too. I am
Philly's
excited.
Still the Kings of PA, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It don't matter how many championships. I tell you, the Steelers, they don't even really care a lot. They like the Steelers out there, but Pittsburgh is a Penguins town.
Oh,
yeah, they are a Penguins town, and they hate the Flyers. They absolutely hate the Flyers, and it doesn't matter how many championships they win. They still have envy of Philadelphia. I was going to say it a different way, but I got to keep this kid friendly. So they definitely have envy of Philadelphia all the time, and I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be trying to break into the stadium. I want to get into this game. I'm going to try to do whatever I can to get down
Might
there.
have to do a solo next week.
Yeah, and I'm going to be back. I'll be back for the show unless I'm not in jail. Yeah, as long as I'm not in jail. But so yeah, this is going to be a fun game. It's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be something simple. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers are. I think they're a good team. But I think
legit though. That's the main thing.
I think that they're a little fraud.
Okay.
I think they're a little fraud. I think last year was a little bit more in tune of what they're really capable of. I think that when they have played 3 teams that have a combined record of 1-12 or 1-9 or 1-11 or something like that. So it's ridiculous. The fact that they didn't play the Titans this week, it would have been a good game to watch that two teams going 3-0 and 3-0. It would have been interesting to kind of see that, but of course that didn't happen. So now they get the bye week, and then we get there and we get to go in there. And I think, like I said, I feel like that this was the end of preseason. Our fourth game. Our fourth game, and that come out with 1 win and 1 tie, and to still be in lead in the NFC East is what that just shows you exactly, that preseason didn't matter. Now these games are going to start to really count, and we're going to start this week.
If you keep playing like you did last night, I think that you will be there at the end of the season. These next 2 games are going to be tough, and we're going to find out a lot about the character of this team. And I think that the key for this game is obviously when you talk about Pittsburgh, it's always about the trenches for them.
Right.
And when you talk about us lately, it's been a lot about the trenches for us as well.
Right.
This is going to come down to the trenches, and you've been doing a great job of looking at the matchups in the trenches. Well, you're going to have a feast on Sunday, my man, because you're going to see some good football in the trenches, and I think that's what it's going to come down to.
That's right. And I think that some of the inexperience may show through a little bit. So I think they're going to have to get creative with the play calling. It's going to be a little bit harder to do the things that we want to do because that line. But they like to blitz a lot too. So they're a blitzing team. So you're going to have to take advantage. You're going to see Ertz a lot more open than we've seen him in the first 4 games of the season.
Got to be able to call those audibles. Call that right audible when you see a blitz. Attack right in that spot where that person's blitzing.
Exactly. I expect that there's going to be that. For some reason or another, they have not been able to really do these screen passes well.
I know. It's something that it could really help us since we cannot run the ball as effectively as we have in the past.
Right.
But yeah, that would have been great to have.
Yeah, and it's
little screen.
And it's going to happen. I mean, that's going to come along too. But
you got to go to it, though. I feel like you got to at least try and go with it.
Well, they tried to do it, and he played he did a McNabb pass to him. So it's that's kind of the thing. All right. So, and they didn't really do it much after that. And then any other time that they tried to do something, it was literally, they had that one reverse type thing that lost 12 yards to Mittens or whatever his name was.
Lost him his job.
Yeah, he's gone now. He's gone. But so it'll be interesting to see. I expect they got to show up better coaching. They definitely have to show up better coaching.
Yeah, because Tomlin's a pretty solid coach over there.
I don't think Tomlin's a good coach. I think Tomlin's got a good team around him, a good coaching team around him. I think that Tomlin is a very good delegator. I think that's what he does best.
That's what he does.
And he's got fire. So he's got fire and he's delegator. But I'm a firm believer that he does what he does best by hands off, and just getting in people's faces. You know what I mean? I think, and maybe that's what makes a great coach. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what does it. But I don't think that he's if it comes down to a decision on him, that we can beat him. He can definitely be outcoached.
Pittsburgh's definitely got this culture too. It's always, it's put up or shut up. You go out and win, and they always find guys. They always seem to find players.
Yes, they do. They do. So
what do you think? What do the Eagles need to do to win this game?
So I would normally, because I've been saying the ground and pound. This is going to be the time where they're going to need to exploit. Like I said, Zach Ertz is going to come into play here. I think Rodgers is going to come into play here. I think that both of them are going to get utilized really well. Yes. I think also.
I saw a game yesterday too, Richard Rodgers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
3 catches.
Yeah, and it's big. I mean, he only got thrown the ball 4 times, and he was. I tell you, rumbling down the field. I feel like that you should put him maybe at fullback and trying to do some of that stuff. I think that it's going to be an interesting game. I like our defense taking the ball away. I think that this is going to. I think that
Darius Slay's due for an interception too.
Yeah.
Could that be this week? Hopefully.
maybe just because Ben Roethlisberger likes to challenge people,
And he's not as mobile before. And this defensive line, as you guys can tell, can get in the face. If that happens, we get some turnovers. That'll make our life easier.
Yeah, all you got to do is get around his feet.
Yeah.
If he can't, set his feet.
We'll get a couple sacks.
Yeah, that's going to definitely happen. I don't trust I think that their offensive line isn't as great.
Yeah.
And that we're going to be able to get involved there. I think that they only really live and die off of their receivers.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, one way we can, produce offense. Let's make a game plan for Miles Sanders. Let's do some of those wheel routes. And the Cincinnati to LA game, that Miles Sanders was open on a couple of times out wide and deep too. Make some plays, cater to Miles Sanders. Make a game plan surrounded by him. Him in the open field is so hard to stop.
right.
And he's got a skill, and I think you just gotta find another way to use it.
I agree. So it'd be interesting to see. I listened to Doug talk have press conference today at 1:00, and he, because Miles Sanders wasn't there, he wasn't really involved in the second half. And people were asking if he was hurt or anything like that, and Doug says, "Yeah, don't look into it. We just, he was out there for a little bit, and then we just pulled back on the reins some. Wasn't a big deal. Wasn't anything crazy. So we'll see. Maybe he's trying to protect his player a little bit, but maybe he's a little dinged up. Maybe he's just trying to protect them because he knows that we don't have any other running backs to stand behind him. So maybe that's part of the thing.
So what's your prediction for this upcoming Sunday?
So I said that it was going to come down to a game, game scoring this last week, right? That's what I said. It was going to come down to the last second, and hopefully we had the ball, and it didn't. We didn't have the ball, but we stopped them. We stopped them earlier because then they said it had to, it had to be a Hail Mary. I think that this is going to be similar. However, I think that the Eagles are going to have the lead, and they're going to just never really lose command of the lead. I think that it's going to be like at the end of the first half, it's going to be like 10-3, or maybe even like 13-7, something like that, ending the game at like 23-17.
23-17. I got it similar. I think this is going to be a tough game. It's going to be, another physical game between both these teams. You're talking about Philly, Pittsburgh, two Pennsylvania teams. It's going to be really physical. I think Carson, again, is going to find a way to get the W. That's the one thing we have been seeing. Carson is trying everything he can to get these wins. I think the Eagles are going to win up in Pittsburgh 20-17. And you'll be happy. You'll be celebrating in front of Pittsburgh fans.
I will be. I'll be dancing a jig over there, and they're going to be hating me. I may not get out alive, but I won't care about that because I will have won. And like it says, if I can't get into the stadium, I know Kafka's too. That's an Eagles bar out in Pittsburgh. So I know all about it already. I've been all over there. Well, it even looks like they got my picture in the back. So because the owner of Kafka's too kind of looks like me when I had hair. So
All right. Well, before we move on, obviously there was another big moment in Philly sports in the past week. I wanted to get your thoughts on Doc Rivers.
I was excited. On Doc. I don't know enough about basketball to speak intelligently about what significance that type of hire is going to do.
Okay.
I like clout. I like winners. So the fact that they chose him over Tyronn Lue and all that other stuff, because more than the ring this time, we needed the clout because I want to make sure that these guys will listen to him. Yeah. That's going to be an important thing to have happen. And if they're not, because he won't take the crap. No. You know what I mean? He will not take it. And these guys, and so ultimately they're going to have that type of, they're going to be able.
He's going to put him in line where Brett really couldn't do that.
Right,
for sure.
Exactly.
And listen, I know we talk about the playoffs for the last couple of years, but he knows how to win, and he will get the Sixers into the playoffs. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. I think I'm not going to worry about that, but just help Joel mature and become that leader and that superstar that we all know he is, and help Ben Simmons shoot the damn ball. Jeez.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be the tougher of the two, situations going
Absolutely.
on.
I had to get your thoughts on that.
So yeah, anyone know? I appreciate it. And here's the other thing. Since we're going to talk a little bit of extra Philly sports here, since we're going a little over and above, the Phillies. I'm going to say this right to the camera. The Phillies should have fired Clentak.
Yeah.
They should have fired him. And the fact that he is still with the organization, I don't know what they're doing over there, but I tell you, I want this team out. I want somebody else to buy the Phillies because I don't think that they're ever going to do anything right. I don't trust them anymore. I don't trust the ownership. I don't trust the president. I don't trust that they're going to make the right decision for general manager. I don't trust that they're going to be able to sign the people that want to. I think that they become a laughing stock of the MLB, and I'm unhappy about it. I am unhappy about it. I tell you, the best thing about the baseball season this year were the pandemics and how much money that they raised. Oscar and the crew raised that much money. They raised like $20,000.
Shouts out to Brett too.
Yeah, so that's all of that stuff. All of that stuff. I feel like the Phillies are just they're going down the toilet, and it's already been flushed. They're circling the bowl at this point. You know what I mean? It's time for that ownership group to move on.
It's disgraceful. Like, how do you not he should have been fired the Monday after our season was over. He should have been gone by then. You should have been in the process right now of finding the next guy to replace Matt Clentak there. And to hear Middleton's, comments saying that, he wasn't on board with JT Realmuto and he probably thinks that he will be gone. Like, that is ridiculous. You're talking about the best catcher, and your superstar Bryce Harper, who you spent all that money on, said that you need him back, and you weren't even on board with that trade. Oh man, it's a mess. It's really a mess, and I'll be interested to see who can come in to this situation and try to fix it.
Who wants to? Who would want to? When you have non-baseball guys making baseball decisions, and that's the problem.
You know why I think it hurts? Because there are players that you actually can love. Like, you can love a Bryce Harper, you can love an Aaron Nola, you can love a JT Realmuto, but this front office can't put this team in the right situations to win, and that it's painful. It sucks because I wanted to be in Red October right now, but we're here, talking about the Birds, which is great and all, but I want to talk about both.
Right, and that's. Like I said, I said my piece. I said my piece. I try not to even get hot about things, but that just angered me when I heard that he stepped down. When he stepped down, I'm like, what? And then I heard that he's still with the organization. I'm like, what? And I'm like, obviously they don't know what's going on over there. And so it is what it is. So we're gonna do our announcements. What do you have anything going on lately?
No, just keeping an eye on the Union season. Of course, we are in the full stretch with the Union, and we got our Philly Sports Summer podcast, Dude by the River. We'll be doing twice a week. Other than that, just hanging out with you, just watching the Eagles, waiting to see what the Sixers do as far as the roster. We got our roster, we got our coach now, so now it's time to do a little rebuilding of this roster. And also, shouts out to Maniskin. He retired today. For the Flyers, that was it was kind of a big loss, but he's an older guy. You figured that.
I tell you, he was a giveaway machine in the playoffs. He was a giveaway machine in the playoffs. I think he understood that. I think he understood that the game was just passing him by.
Yeah, he definitely could not last that long, but I think he was super beneficial for some of those younger players that you saw step up. The Philip Myers, the Sanheims, those type of players really stepped up and had a great playoffs, and I think that he was influential. But keeping an eye on everything Philly sports, guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. And obviously, as you know where to find him on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Actually, I just found out that he's got a Facebook account. He doesn't have it under El Parcero. I'm like, there's this guy named John who's pointing me out there. But you definitely find him on TikTok, Instagram, and definitely over here on YouTube. And the only announcement I have is that I'm getting hyped already for Christmas. Now I'm ready to go down to Dallas. And I'm ready. And I tell you, Dallas sucks.
For you.
Dallas sucks. And I tell you, I'm already excited for them. And, my birthday's coming up. My birthday is coming up October 20th.
Okay.
I'm going to be, and it's in between. It's a Tuesday. So we got a game on Sunday and we got a game on Thursday.
Ooh.
And that game on Thursday, that's like my birthday game. That's going to be against the New York Giants. The New York Giants. And I've already told you that our season does not begin until we play the Giants. So I am super excited about that. Like I said, it's going to be my birthday party.
There you go.
We're going to be partying hard.
Partying with Philly Sports Guy.
Partying hard. So, and just to give you guys a heads up, it's halftime in the first game in the COVID Monday night game, and it's Chiefs 6, the Patriots 3. That's a barn burner there.
We also had our first firing of the year in the NFL.
Yes,
Bill O'Brien getting
Bill
fired
O'Brien.
from the Houston Texans. A lot of boneheaded moves. Obviously, start 0-4. You have a franchise quarterback. It's a mess in Houston right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's take our best receiver, the one guy that we can throw it to all the time, and send him away. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I tell you what, the one thing about Bill O'Brien, the best thing about Bill O'Brien was that he got Penn State back on track.
Yeah.
That was the only thing he was able to do. But he probably should have never left the Patriots. That kind of thing. So, and tonight's other Monday Night Football that'll be getting started here in about 20 minutes, half hour, the Falcons versus the Packers. And the Packers are a 6.5-point favorite with an over-under of 56.5.
I have a prediction for that game.
Okay.
I think that the Falcons are going to be up 30-10 going into the fourth quarter, and the Packers find a way to win 31-30 in the fourth quarter.
I don't think so. Actually, I
talk
think,
about the Falcons. They choke. Every time they always choke.
I think that the Falcons will keep it fairly close until
Okay.
the end, and then
For
lose
Dan,
by like
for
15 points.
Dan Quinn's job sake, I hope you're right.
I don't care whether he gets fired or not. I think I like that Matty Ice is still scoring some points. He's doing great for fantasy. I tell you, so not for nothing, and I don't ever like to talk about fantasy, especially because I have to talk about my quarterback on my one fantasy team is Dak Prescott.
Oh no,
You
I
know?
should get that.
Well, because I let the computer pick for me. I don't pick fantasy football. And I tell you, Dak, I love it because he scores like 50 points every week and loses.
I'll see you out for sure.
I love that. I love it. So I don't care that if I lose. I suck at fantasy football, so I'm not really that interested. But I love it that, like I said, he scored like 55 points and lost. Dallas sucks. Dallas sucks. But anyways, this is the end of week 4 of our Birds Breakdown. Thank you so much for joining us here. And I want to see some people come on out. And listen, you guys all watch me live. I've been doing my lives, especially on TikTok and on Facebook during the games, trying to get you guys out here. You guys need to come out here. And like I said, you guys come out here, that first beer is going to be on me. I'm going to make sure. So if you guys come out here and come out to see that show, first beer is definitely going to be on me. Let's go. Let's go, Birds. And we got our first win. We are leading the NFC East.
Yes, sir.
Baby. Reigning NFC East champs and right where we're supposed to be. In first place, moving forward. Going ahead, baby. Oh, yeah. Go, Birds. Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Good show, guys. Let's go. Go, Birds. Yeah. Go, Birds. Go, Birds.